Are the levels? La
Levels.
la 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 la.
Oh, I guess they're good.
All right.
Like I would know. Out of the Furnace. Now I give this movie a B minus. Now let me reiterate this point from the grading video. B movie is an up I would recommend to people. Go see this movie, it's a must see, or something like that. B minus is maybe you should see it, you could see it. And of course C pluses and below are like, you shouldn't see this movie under normal circumstances, you might have a particular interest. And of course D's are terrible.
I give this film a B minus as well because in the beginning of the film it's like at that B level and then it completely drops off around the end.
Yep. Now the themes of this movie are kind of anti-authoritarian. It's anti-military. All the war horror stories. Now, okay. Look, I'm anti-military industrial complex, but this movie does it wrong. I mean, you might agree with the themes, but you can't just be anti-authoritarian. Fuck the police, fuck the military, fuck sending jobs to China.
Fuck Obama.
Well, they had that. I think Obama represented times were getting better. Yeah, it's bad now, but things are going to get better later after all of it's over if you just wait till that time. I don't like its leftist perspective.
The beginning of the film is placed in 2007. I will vote for Senator Obama.
Yeah.
That whole thing. We're not really 100% sure how long he spent in jail. He's been in there for a while. He comes out. But everything's still shit and President Obama is still the president. So I don't really think it was much leftist because I felt like the film was saying nothing's changed.
I don't see it quite that way. I see it as the citizens feeling like they need to take responsibility. Obama is kind of like just one of us and he's taking responsibility. And so the main character is taking responsibility therefore and going beyond the law and getting justice himself. Terrible comparison.
The beginning of the film shows you that, okay, this is going to be good. It's building up relationships, characters that we're going to care about. And then they become empty later on in the film and you realize that they're just stock characters in specific places to help the plot along.
Well, because these characters, the kind of archetypes they develop with these characters is good when they started. They developed Christian Bale's character as a hard worker and he was building things while his brother was tearing them down. It was a great kind of conflict that they had, that they were kind of opposites, yet they still loved each other. I enjoyed that. But then his brother seems so tough then later on and he just gets killed. How can he just get killed and then his brother becomes him and becomes the tough guy and loses everything? I can see why that kind of makes sense. It was just done very poorly because the villain is just a straight up terrible villain. There's no trying to relate to him, understanding where he comes from. I don't see anything here.
There was imagery that tried to relate the two characters, that try to relate Christian Bale's character and try to relate Woody Harrelson's character. Nothing came of that imagery. There was no hidden theme representative of that imagery. Christian Bale's character is working at the steel mill, and there's that barrel that dumps all the lava, and then it cuts to Woody Harrelson dumping the heroin bottle of the liquids down in the drain. I mean, that was great imagery of cutting from that to that, but
what did it tell us?
was it saying that they were like two sides of the same coin? Because they sure as hell didn't feel that way.
No, of course not.
It was not saying anything. It just had this really cool imagery. But the character, the bad guy, even though he was represented in the very beginning of the film, you're like, oh, so we're going to get an antagonist that is just as important as the main character. We didn't get that, sadly.
Even any of the other characters didn't seem important. By the end of it, when the guy was fumbling at the locks, like, oh, just give me a second, I need to get the lock. I was laughing in the theaters because it was so stupid. It was trying to get me to feel bad, and it did the opposite of that. It was laughable.
And again, that safe scene, that didn't make any fucking sense because the guy was like, oh, no, there's no money. You wouldn't fucking say that to Woody Harrelson's character. Why the fuck would he say, oh, no, I don't have any money, and then have a fucking safe in the back of the room?
Yeah, he wouldn't have denied that guy from taking the money. Oh, I'm so tough now. All my other friends can die, but I'm going to stick up for some money in the safe. I think that kind of plays along with the themes of saying that everything happened because of money reasons, because people are poor, because they lose their jobs, drugs leads to homelessness, which leads to poverty. Whatever all that shit is, other movies do so much better. Like Elysium does much better.
Bringing up other movies, I felt like this movie was a poor man's Deer Hunter.
Yep.
You get a lot of that steel imagery work in the very beginning of the film, just like Deer Hunter. You got them actually hunting fucking deer. In the war, the Iraq War and the Vietnam War and the Deer Hunter, and representing that, but having the conflict take place more at home, and the fighting is the Russian Russian roulette.
Pretty obvious that they ripped this film from The Deer Hunter in a few ways.
It sucks though, because I don't mind that you rip off The
Right,
Deer Hunter, because
right.
The Deer Hunter is a great fucking film.
Sure.
It's just bring something new and actually bring the depth along with it. But they didn't do that, and what we got is a B- at best.
The good thing about this film is that it kind of is unexpected where the scenes go, but the whole plot is very expected. So you have the unexpected imagery and scenes within the very expected plot and kind of lack of action movie. It's not appealing to that, so that's a good thing.
There was a line of dialogue that I really liked, but the theme was kind of glanced over. Woody Harrelson's character looks at, I believe, Casey Affleck's character and says, "You've been in Iraq for 4 tours, you've been fighting over there, why would you come here to fight some more?" That was good, because it represents the whole, when you're in the Iraq war, you don't leave. A la Deer Hunter. And again, that theme dies with that character.
Yeah.
And then we see none of it.
It's not in the last part of the film because that character is dead. Remember the emotional impact of Christopher Walken's character dying in The Deer Hunter. There's none of that in this one. It's a pitiful way to die. That's a good thing. It didn't lead anywhere. It didn't feel like anything. That was a bad thing.
It's great when movies have characters that represent the themes of the film. Elysium does this very well. But the problem with this film is they tied most of their great themes to Casey Affleck's character. They kill him, all those themes disappear, and Christian Bale's character isn't left with anything.
Christian Bale's character has the themes with him. It's just they all disappear too because he pursues his brother's path. If they were more on equal terms with conflict and his brother was like, you know what, this guy fucked me over, I'm gonna fuck him up, go on a rampage and kill people. And then Christian Bale's character come back and be like, no, we need to stick to the police get things done. The military was a good thing you went to the military. Expanded on a different side of the movie that was there, but they didn't.
It would have been great if there was like that brotherly conflict character where what if Christian Bale had to kill his brother?
Yeah.
But instead we get a Woody Harrelson character who was represented at the very beginning of the film of shoving a hot dog down a chick's throat. That gave me a bad taste in my mouth. I'm like, I'm all for establishing antagonists in the beginning of the film as long as it's going anywhere and what he does represents more than just he's angry, he's a drunken maniac. If it represented more of his chaos than his, oh, I'm just fucking drunk and I'm gonna beat all these people up, it would have been better.
It represented that the law couldn't stop him and wherever he was at, the law had no authority over him. What world is this movie in?
New Jersey. Like this review if you think this is Bruce Wayne's true origin story.
Dislike this review if you think that Christian Bale's character should have only used one shot to kill the antagonist.
I get the joke.
Thank you.
You're welcome.